So, as you can see here, this thing, I can't live without my smartphone. But I also think that I'm not alone here. And maybe you can already guess from which generation we are going to talk about. It is a generation full of contradiction. It is a generation of change makers. Well, today we are going to talk about Gen Z. Everyone who was born between 1995 and 2010 are now raising their hands. Wow, okay. So we definitely have here a lot of Gen Zers here. But I have to tell you one thing. We really have a bad reputation. Because really want to know where Gen Z is. Well, on the internet, you will find it out. Then Gen Z is somehow very entitled or sensitive. Well, what would we say today? Very cringe. But no wonder, why are we talking about this topic? Well, when you think about Gen Z, you're thinking about teenagers, right? But not exactly, because they're entering the workforce. So therefore, we have currently people from 20 to 27 entering the workforce, which makes up currently about 5%. But this number will be increased to 27%. That means that Gen Z will create an impact. But companies are already overwhelmed. But no wonder. If you see how Gen Z is working, well, there was no workdays. I don't want to work on Fridays. I need my lead times. Of course, companies solve all that, right? And new generations entering the workforce with a totally new values and a totally new mindset. This is also the problem right now. Currently, we are working with 5 different generations on the workforce, which of course leads to a generation conflict. When you think about back to your grandparents, and I'm thinking about my grandparents, they only had one opportunity. They've been from the Silent generation, and they really worked hard, as their life was only work. And they really had to work a lot only to survive and to get the basic food needs. But this generation created a better life for the next generation, for my parents, which are from Generation X. So therefore, my parents, instead of having only one option, they had 2 options. Either staying on the farm and to work very hard to get the food, or to have a secure life and move to Germany. And you can guess, they took the second option that's almost here right now. And my parents had tried everything to create a better life for me, a brother, and a sister. And now we are from this Gen Z generation, where we have a lot of opportunities. Always very interesting when I see how my brother is. He's like a walking Google machine. You can ask him everything, and he's replying to everything. And while he's sitting in his room, he's connected with the whole world virtually. And my sister, well, a totally different person. If you would ask her what she wants from work, she's only saying, well, I want to be happy and just find a purpose in life. And I'm some very totally different person again. I'm not putting more from the startup world, but everything's so amazing and optimistic, and we want to change the world. Yeah, so very different. But this is also how Gen Z is. It is a generation which is very different. And when you wanted to know what Gen Z is on the per definition, I can't define this generation because it is very different to understand. But I think apart from the generations, I think we maybe have also some boomers in the room, or people from a Generation X. Do we have some multiple generations? Great. Millennial is also here, or in the red. So we see we have some multiple generations here. But I think what's even more important is to think about why we're here in this room. You came here, you did the action to study, to learn, to grow together, right? That means we have right now a common purpose in this room. And this is also how McKinsey, for example, is defining Gen Z. Because Gen Z is the most purpose-driven generation ever. It is a generation who are talking about climate change and sustainability issues, but also it is one of the open-minded generations ever, where it doesn't matter anymore from which background they're coming from. But also, this generation is really prioritizing their me times, their well-being, and also talking openly about mental health issues, something that we didn't have in the past. And yes, they are a generation of the first digital natives. So life without social media and the internet, all the information, well, we don't really know this word. But what I often heard is that, of course, we can't talk about all these problems because we don't have any other problems, right? But of course, we can compare how the problems was from the past generations, but still this generation has its own unique challenges that has to master. Because this generation is a generation they had multiple crises in a very short period of time. When you think about the 2008 financial crisis, which leads to this generation to the characteristic to value stability, but also living in the world of the pandemic, where a lot of people had struggled, especially when they're entering the workforce. And it is a generation which has alarming rise of mental health issues compared to all other different generations. And they are entering the workforce and are feeling already stressed out, especially living in a social media world where you always compare yourself and making a world like you actually don't really have. So we can understand if companies are overwhelmed and this young generation is entering the workforce. But what is very interesting that we already had the same discussions. You remember the millennials a few years back and 10 years before, we had the same discussions with the millennials that they also were entitled social activists, also didn't want to work. The same discussions that we're having right now with the millennials. But not only millennials. We also had it in 1999, where nobody wants to work anymore. But also in 1979, somehow nobody wants to work anymore. And in 1916, where nobody wants to work anymore. So somehow we see a clear repetition from the past that nobody really wants to work. But what is very interesting is that you can really think that Gen Z is somehow very lazy to work because, yeah, the children out of luxury, they have bad manners, contempt for authority, they show disrespectful and love to chatter. This is from today, right? Talking about Gen Z. Or is it from the millennials? So what do you think? Which quote is coming from? Well, already Socrates said this. How about 2,000 years before, that the younger generations are too difficult to handle. So what we're experiencing right now is maybe not that deal. And this phenomenon is also called paranoia, which means the exaggerated fear of the older generations towards the younger ones. Because they always want to change, they want to challenge those growth. But somehow it's very interesting because we see that this is a repetition from the history in a world that is constantly changing, right? But I don't really believe that kind of repetition because I think that we are enough first living in the present and we can take now action to create the future. Not only if we take the action. And this is also why I think that Gen Z has the potential because of course we have so much knowledge power when we think about the past generations and we are building from the achievements from the past generations and creating new values for the future. When you think what the values are from Gen Z, it is to be more sustainable, more social, more inclusive, and this is also how Gen Z has a great impact to change the future. But I'm always saying, not alone, but together with all the different generations. And again, if you would ask me, if Gen Z is lazy, well, what is lazy? Lazy, of course, means the ability to solve the problems in the most easiest way. But also what's very interesting, if you would ask Gen Z what they're doing, maybe they're not purchasing only one company, but according to McKinsey, they're having multiple jobs. Especially after the pandemic situation, also Gen Zers have lost their jobs, and therefore they are more concerned about the employment. And that's why we also see a lot of people are seeing some new opportunities, for example, to work as a freelancer. I think that we all know a lot of people who are currently having multiple jobs. And this is also because Gen Z, of course, they are growing up as a kind of a do-it-yourself culture. That means when they want to solve a problem, they just go on YouTube, Google, find information, and solve it very quickly. They're also very pragmatic. And this is very interesting that I found out that maybe the Gen Z is not really lazy, but actually you really have characteristics of already being an entrepreneur without knowing that. Is you are living in a world that's constantly changing, but you always have to adapt yourself. and also to be innovative, because the future will be technology, and you are with the future that you know how the technology works working. And what is very interesting when you see what Gen Z really wants from work, it is to think about new ideas, to rethinking the status quo, but also to be connected with the whole world, to learn and to grow, and to take so much education from the whole world, learning from the past, from the different experiences from other countries, but also to very practical to solve problems that creates a purpose or meaning. And that's why this generation is always talking about purpose, is actually want to solve a problem. And this, what I found out, very interesting, because of course we are living in a very chaotic world with so many things that are changing, happening, and of course for every different problem we need solutions for that. But we see how Gen Z's thinking, they're thinking in a very entrepreneurial way. Then I think there is so much potential for the future, maybe that all these stereotypes are not the truth. And especially when I found out that 71% of Gen Z want to enter a startup or be an entrepreneur after school university. That is really a lot. And this is also the key. I see the companies struggling to get new talents. On the other side, I see so many young potentials who wants to create a change. And I see we are living in a very chaotic world, and combining all these three things together, we can solve a lot of problems, but only together. But therefore, we need all the trust of all the generations, and always want to forget from the past generations, from the hard work, and combining everything together. And that's why I want to say, especially when I go into work, we need more communication, not just within our generation, but cross-generational. Because right now there are so many misunderstandings, especially in a world of technology where we lose our humanity. These little human things we can all start from today to understand the different generations, to create empathy, because this will be very important, but also to collaborate, especially when you think about we can learn from the great experiences from the past generations, but also we can share some great digital skills, how the digital world is working, how social media is working, what kind of tools we're using. And when we combine all this knowledge, all these different perspectives together, there won't be so many great ideas, especially which is now needed in a world which is, again, very chaotic. And at the end, I don't want to say, hey, Gen Z is coming, want to change the world, everything is by a single generation. No, but what I want to say is that we all need to change. That means we need to adapt. The other generations have to adapt, but we have to come close together. Because at the end, we're not working against every generation, but we're working together as humans and not as generations. And at the end, what is really right or true of the generations? Because at the end, everyone wants the thing or the work to be appreciated. And that's why I'm saying we're working with humans and not with generations. Thank you very much.